Well, how do there, chums? 'Tis I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, I want to talk about the latest expedition, do a little mini synopsis, a little review of what I thought about the expedition. Expedition Titan! Expedition Titan is scheduled to run for 6 weeks. 6 weeks inside of No Man's Sky, this awesome expedition will be running. Now, I just said the word awesome there. In a way, it is awesome, and in another way, I think it's not so awesome. So firstly, the things that I liked about this expedition. The things I liked about this expedition was the showcasing of all these new planets and these biomes. Some of the planets that I put foot on inside of this actual expedition have been far some of the most beautiful planets that I've seen to date inside of No Man's Sky, but that goes to say, this is the latest update. This is the latest planets that they've got, and it makes me feel very excited for Light No Fire. So that's kind of what it's done for me. It's fired up a drive to... Oh, I can't wait to see their new title. If we're seeing all these new biomes, Hello Games has already said that Light No Fire is going to be like all the biomes inside of No Man's Sky compressed onto one planet. I think we're going to be in for a real treat, and I think these biomes that we've seen in No Man's Sky is kind of a bit of a showcase of what might be to come in future aspects of their development of Light No Fire. But other than that, inside of this expedition I've encountered quite a fair few odd bugs, like when I was on the water planet and having to install technology like, say, the angler's rig or other bits and bobs, they would flash up and really bug out. That was kind of a little bit frustrating and annoying, and I could imagine that's going to be even worse if it was inside of VR. But anyway, so that was a bug that I encountered. Now I'm playing on PC. I don't know whether this bug affects people right across the board, but it didn't break the actual game. It didn't crash the game or anything like that. What I would also say is there's some really annoying things in Phase 1. In Phase 1, to get yourself the ferrite dust, trying to find the rocks and the pebbles on the planet when there's lots of rocks and pebbles around, but there's only certain ones you can actually mine, was really frustrating. Now, yes, you can go over to all the green boxes and you can get rusted metal and convert that into your ferrite dust. The only thing is, to do that, you're going to need ferrite dust to get your metal plating to build a refiner, because you haven't got the personal inbuilt refiner until you pop it at a later stage, unless you're clever and you've managed to do it early somehow. But it wasn't easy, is what I'm saying, to get the ferrite dust that you need to get your metal plating, to even do that, or to fix your actual ship. So that was a bit of a bind. It took me quite a while to find those rocks, to be honest. And then also, to actually get your chromatic metal, it wasn't overly clear, because the instructions said to go and find copper. So everybody is looking for copper. Well, copper isn't in purple systems. You've got to use that new material, which is quasiat or quasinant or whatever it is. The new material, anyway. And you can find that on the actual planets, and that refines into copper. But it'd be nice, into chromatic metal. It'd be nice if they updated the note. So I found a lot of pathing and workflow issues with inside of this expedition that caused me to go, okay, what do I do now? And that happened probably about 4 times during this, because it was either poorly worded, as mentioned before, or the pathing was a bit weird where they took you. It's like when you're at the Oceanus planet and it says scan for a sunken derelict freighter. Well, when you do that, nothing comes up because the system that you're in is completely abandoned. It's got crosses, there's no structures. But it doesn't tell you to go to the galactic map, it just says find a planet with water. Well, you're on a planet with freaking water. It doesn't say go to the galactic map, choose another system with water, then try summoning it in. And imagine a lot of people were scratching their heads going, what the actual flying fudge? I'm following the instructions to the letter. It's not working. It must be a bug. And they're probably waiting for patch fixes, when in actuality, no, it's just poorly worded, not probably played through properly. And yeah, it could have been better. It could have been worded a lot better. Now, a lot of the actual missions inside of this were missions that we've seen in previous expeditions. I don't think there was a singular mission inside of this that hasn't been seen before in previous iterations of the game. I mean, yes, we had to create that new bit of technology, the belt to put food items in. But then there wasn't a future badge to say boost yourself, like the bread you've just made, stick that in there. There was no additional badge around it, so you didn't get to see the functionality of it. You build the belt and then don't use it. Great, brilliant, fantastic. Missed opportunity there, and then some, in my opinion. You know, it just doesn't feel like Hello Games has picked this up in the office and played it from start to finish and said, yeah, actually, you know, this looks great, yeah, it's fine. No, if you follow the text messages, it's not fine. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're not like a seasoned player of No Man's Sky, you're going to be like, sod this must be broke. No, I can see a lot of people having issues with this. Now, if you are having issues with the actual expedition, I've done a video on this, a tips video, and I go over all the pain points in detail. I would suggest watching that video in its entirety first, then run the expedition. There's no real spoilers in there per se. It's just hints and tips on how to do these tricky milestones. So be sure to go and hit up that video. I'll put a link over there. Go hit it up, I guess. But if I was to rate this, I would say this is on par with like Cartographers. Yes, the planets were far nicer than what we've done in Cartographers, but this is very much go here, see this, do this, grab this, move on. It was very much fetch questy type stuff around exploration, and it is mainly just to showcase these new bases, and it kind of feels that this one was done for the new players. However, the weird thing is with this being for the new players is at the end of it you get gifted this really nice living Wraith ship. Lovely, but it can't jump you to the purple systems, so you can't go and then see all this stuff that you've just seen in the expedition inside a normal game, because you're kind of locked out of that now. And the other odd thing is it's going to add these purple markers, and especially if you've built a base on some of these purple planets. What happens when you go back into your game and you haven't got the technology or the know-how to get to those purple markers? Can you then warp to those bases? So a little bit of an experiment for you guys out there in the viewerverse. If you are running this expedition and you haven't got to the purple planets inside of your legacy save, and while you're running the expedition, if you do build a base on a gas giant, because you have to do gas giant fishing and all sorts of other stuff, if you have built a base in one of these purple systems, when you finish the expedition and you've returned to your normal save where you couldn't go to purple systems, try warping to your base. Can you get to it, or does it bug out? Let us know in the comments. I don't know whether this is going to be an oversight by Hello the Games. I'm wondering whether it might error you out and put you in a neighbouring system, but it's your base. You should be able to warp to your base, you know? So yeah, let us know how you get on with that. I'd like to know, just because. And I will pin the most relevant person's comment that's done it. So, you know, if you're watching this video and you're wondering whether it works or not, check the pinned comment. Anyway, if I had to rate this overall, I would say this is amongst maybe my 5 lowest. Now, there is only 17 of these, but I would say this is in the lowest. I wouldn't, this nowhere near my top 5. No, my top 5 are freaking, you know, I really liked Liquidators. I liked Polestar. Or the Endurance or whatever it was. But I really liked those ones. They were really quite cool. Because they had a little bit of lore. And they had a lot to do. This one feels a little bit more like in line with Cartographers. It's very much see this, do this, and yeah. But also in phase 1, there was a mission to find, well, land on all 5 moons of the gas giant. Trying to traverse around that gas giant, I must have done like 3 circuits around it trying to find the freaking planet. Now, sometimes I run out of fuel. So I had to go over and shoot some asteroids to get a load more tritium. And then when I came back out, I ended up going back on myself. And I was like, oh, God, go the other way. Go the other way. And sometimes when you're pulsing and you run out of fuel, just at the wrong time, when there's a trader flying in or something that pops up, that can move your camera angle and jar you. And you're like, did I see that moon or not? Am I going the right way or not? There's no indication of whether you're going the right way or not. Yeah, you can keep the gas giant on your left, but if you get completely spun, that can be your right in a roundabout way, because you can get flipped upside down. I was like, okay. So I was using the station as a sort of marker to get my bearing. Okay, the station's that way. That's the way I need to go. And it was really tricky. And it wasn't until I thought, hold on, they might not all be on the horizontal plane. They might be on the vertical plane. And as soon as I went vertically, I found my last remaining planet. But it took a bit of doing. It took a bit of doing to find that. I must have wasted a good 40 minutes of just going back on myself trying to find this last remaining moon. I found the first 4, boom, done, really quickly. The last one, 40 minutes, like I say, 40 minutes, and it felt like the most infuriating time that I've ever had inside of No Man's Sky. And I really hope that Hello Games adds in some sort of autopilot functionality. So when you're on the Discoveries page, if you click on the planet that you want to go to, you can just hit autopilot and it would take you round and fly you there. It might take a little bit longer. You know, it might be at half pulse or something. But I'd much prefer that than me trying to work out how to get there on these gas giants, because that was freaking annoying. It'd be nice if when it does autopilot, it was a bit like Red Dead Redemption, where you set your auto and it's all cinematic. That'd be quite cool. I'd actually record that of it flying through space and flying past asteroids and freighters all coming in. That would be quite cool. You know, I can make a nice little cinematic sequence if there was an autopilot functionality. So if you are watching Hello Games, maybe you could think of doing that, because it would really help around these gas giants or giant systems in general. So there we go, people. That's kind of my takeaway on this. I would say it was in my bottom 5 expeditions. I wouldn't say it's amongst my favourites in any stretch of the imagination. Now, I did do a poll on this as well, and let's just have a quick look at the old poll results. Okay, Jump, so here's the poll right here. Lovely jubbly. So you can see there that most people think it's awesome. They gave it a 17%. They thought it was a very good showcase of all the planets. Which I have to agree. Overall, I'd say it was fairly awesome. I gave you all my awesomeness at the start, and I think it's really raised people's excitement for Light No Fire. Then 7% of people said that it was average. The planets and the rewards are good. The missions were poor. I would say there was no new missions. Maybe poor is a little bit of the wrong choice of words, but I'm limited on character account here, you know. Not good. Frustratingly poor designed, felt rushed and buggy. 8% of people said that. Now, I would say it did feel a little bit bad with a lot of the actual text message blurb on helper text that really wasn't helpful. In fact, it probably made it less easy trying to understand what you needed to do because of some of the wording of some of the text and the pathing issues. You know, like asking you to search for that derelict freighter in an area of space that's completely derelict and void of freaking structures and life. You know, it's not going to work there. At least it didn't for me, and I tried like several times before I realised that it was an abandoned system. And I was like, well, I don't think this is going to work. So I jumped to a yellow star, and it popped straight away. So out of 10, if I was going to score this, well, out of 100 is what I usually score, isn't it? I'm going to be giving this probably about a 76 out of 100, so 7.6 out of 10. 7.6 out of 10 is where I'd score this. It's not my favourite expedition. The things that carried this one is I really like the new staff. The staff's really nice. The cape's nice, but what's the point? Because no one can see it inside a multiplayer. Hello Games, please fix capes inside a multiplayer, then I might start wearing the dang things. And the ship, the Wraith, is nice. It's nice, but I'm probably going to be putting mine into archive fairly soon. It's not my logo colours. It hasn't got the weaponry like you can get with the other ships. You know, I like to be able to fire out missiles to finish off a ship that I've just taken the shields off of. You haven't got the equivalent of missiles. The Wraith, all it's got is the equivalent of phase beams and photon cannons. And yes, they're quite OP. You can take out the Sentinel dreadnoughts in them fairly quickly. They seem to be pretty powerful, but I would like to have alien weaponry technology in there. You know, maybe some boogers that stick to the shields and dissolve them, or some sort of fart cloud that comes out the back and it puts ink on the actual screens so you can get away quicker. You know, some fun weaponry for these fun living ships. Make them more organic when it comes to the weapons that you have. It's like instead of maybe having normal missiles, maybe you can fire out these little mini Leviathan type looking babies that fly after your target like heat seekers, and once they're on they stick to the sides and boom and blow you up. You know, that could be quite nice. So there we go. There's a couple of ideas. I mean, you could come up with ideas for organic weaponry, surely, and go to town with these new living ships and this Wraith. I really do hope that there's more built onto the living ship sort of stuff. It's like we've got these cockpits inside of them. What race flies these? What do they look like? So anyway, people, that's pretty much everything I've got for you. This expedition, it's not my favourite. It's not my least favourite, but it's somewhere in the low 5 on my top 17. Yeah, it'd be in the lowest 5. Okay, until next time. Goodbye, and goodbye again.